Friends, you hear that music, and you know it's time for another episode of Systematic Geekology. He's back. And no, I'm not talking about dire wolves. I'm talking about JC, the JC, Jesus the Christ, back from the dead. Happy Easter, everybody. Here we are, bonus episode. If I can get James just smiling a little bit, then I'm doing my job. Welcome. Happy Easter, friends. Happy Easter Sunday. This is one of our bonus episodes throughout the seasons where there's Christmas or Arbor Day or Earth Day or Easter Sunday. We like putting out these episodes to reflect on the season and geek out with you guys. So we're glad that you're able to be with us today. And as we celebrate Easter, we have some of our priests to the geeks here. We have James, we have Alex. Here we are, Easter Sunday. How are we doing? Happy Easter, friends.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, here we are. So again, like I said, it's one of our bonus episodes, and we're going to share some of our favorite Easter traditions and then geek out on some of our biggest surprise returns in fandom. We know that character, your beloved character that you just love so much, and they die, and you're like, oh my gosh! And then the cliche is they come back at some point. They're going to come back. There's a few that don't. Sometimes dead means dead in fandom, but most of the time, your favorite hero is going to come back in a dramatic return in the comics or movies or whatever fandom you're a part of. Yeah, we're going to talk about the resurrection today. Celebration. Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Let's hop right into it. So just to kind of get warmed up a little bit, it's Easter Sunday. We're going to start with what is your favorite jelly bean flavor or color? Now, you may not like jelly beans, but if you were forced to eat jelly beans, maybe your favorite candy of all time. But I'm not talking about the Harry Potter weird ones, or unless you want to lift up one of those. But favorite jelly bean flavor or color? Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like jelly beans? Is that something you go to?
Yeah. I remember when I was little, I would eat jelly beans all the time. And my favorite color is purple. And my favorite jelly bean color was purple. But for some reason, I couldn't get myself to swallow purple jelly beans.
Oh. Wow. So you're chewing purple jelly beans like gum and spitting them out.
Yeah, it was weird because I would like try, but I physically couldn't. And then I would start out and crying every time I tried to eat purple jelly beans. So I don't know if I loved it too much as a kid that I just couldn't bring myself to eat it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
You might have too much. You had some food poisoning with the purple jelly bean. You're just like, I'm not going back there.
Maybe some trauma. I don't know. I haven't touched the purple jelly bean since, so we'll see.
Gotcha. I can't remember last time I've had a purple jelly bean. I might have to try that and try it out. We'll see. James, how about you? Favorite jelly bean?
I can't remember the last time I had a jelly bean. I literally had to look up Jelly Belly jelly bean flavors to remind myself. I think my favorites were I don't know, green apple. I like that one a lot.
Okay.
I have very fond memories of the weirdness of the buttered popcorn flavored jelly bean.
Yeah.
I also like lemon lime, so I remember trying to get the yellow or the lemon, so trying to get the yellow one and then ended up with the popcorn, and it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Kind of mental breakdown, but
that may be why you haven't had jelly beans in a while, James. I'm just gonna go on.
Maybe they're deceptive. What can I say?
I think I'm gonna go with red jelly beans. I'm not a jelly bean person, go out of my way, but if there's a few sitting in a little dish on the counter, I'll grab a couple just to see what it tastes like. And I'm gonna go with red. I like that flavor, like that color. Friends, let us know in the comments or on a DM what's your favorite jelly bean. If you're mad at us for liking a particular jelly bean color and we don't think we should, well, we have our taste and you don't. So anyway, there you go. All right, moving on. Next, here we go. Favorite Easter Sunday tradition. James and I are both Lutheran pastors, so we have a lot. We had a lot to do this week in a week that we call Holy. We had a lot of services. We have a lot going on Easter Sunday. Alex, remind us what your faith tradition is and what you do on Easter Sunday. What's your favorite Easter Sunday tradition. It could be anything. There's a judgment-free zone. We don't geek shame anybody. It could be a favorite food. It could be waking up at the crack of dawn. It could be sleeping in that day. We don't care. But what's your favorite Easter Sunday tradition?
Cool. Well, I'm Pentecostal,
Okay.
so I don't know. It's really a tradition. I just know, like, basically I guess maybe it is, but every Easter Sunday we would go to church and we would do communion. Um, and then after church we'd go home, and then all of us together as a family would cook dinner. And then sometimes we would go to like an Easter Sunday night service where they'll probably do like a skit or like worship night or something like that and just pray and whatever. But maybe
Nice.
cook together after church.
Cook together after church, like a big kind of Easter brunch, lunch, dinner kind of stuff.
Yeah, more like a big dinner, yeah.
Nice. What time do your services start? Is it one of those that start a certain time, then you kind of go? Lutherans have like an hour and 4 minutes, or maybe an hour for a service, or our members get mad at us. Except for Easter, we can sometimes go to like an hour and 15 because people like choirs and horns and Easter lilies. So, what I know Pentecostals do it a little differently, and we can learn a lot from Pentecostals. How long is your Easter service?
Honestly, it depends on like where you're at. I know, like, because I used to live in Jersey, and up
Mhm.
north, like, even when it's not Easter, normal services would like you would start early in the morning and go through lunch, wouldn't end till like almost dinner time. So I remember
Wow.
as a kid, we would
Okay.
have to like pack lunch and then also like pre-cook dinner in a slow cooker so that it was ready for us when we got home later that day. Like Sundays were long up north. And then
Okay.
moving to South Carolina, like church services start like late in the morning, like 10:30, 11, and it finishes like before 12. And we were like, what?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
so short. But yeah, it just depends on where you're at.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even Lutherans too. Who knows? There might be a charismatic Lutheran church up north that have a 5-hour worship service. Well, we kind of do for the Easter Vigil. We'll talk a little about that.
Yeah.
we do our long services too. James, how are you? What's your favorite Easter Sunday tradition, or Easter Saturday?
Yeah.
It's a week. It's a holy week.
Yeah. My this is going to be a very distinctively Lutheran answer. Apart from all of the goodness that happens in worship, my favorite Easter tradition is after the Easter Vigil on Saturday night, which I think Will's going to talk a little bit more about probably. That goes from like sundown to, could be 2-3 hours depending on how long you want to do it.
Yeah.
But my favorite tradition is I've usually fasted during the season of Lent from alcohol. I'm doing that this year. So the first beer, or I was at one church that, we worship, and then we went to the fellowship hall at like midnight because that's when theirs ended. And we had a champagne toast, and it wasn't a lot, but it was just one
Nice.
sort of like flute of champagne. And then you went home. And that's my favorite. Breaking the Lenten fast after Easter is my favorite Easter tradition.
Nice.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to be honest here. My favorite Easter Sunday tradition is like at 12:45 when Holy Week is complete, and I can hang with family and eat and take a nap because we work so hard that week. I do like the pomp and circumstance of Easter Sunday and the trumpets and the smell of Easter lilies and all the kids that come up for the children's message and engaging with them. I do like a good children's message on Easter Sunday is some of my favorite moments. I remember a few Easters back, we had a little girl. She was like 2 or 3 years old, and she got her fingernails painted for that morning. And they're all like different colors, rainbow colors. And she came up to me, and I literally had like 25 kids in front of me. And she comes up and whispers in my ear, "Do you want to see my fingernails?" And I went, "Can we wait till after church?" And she goes, "No," and like put them in my face. She goes, "Rainbows." And I was like laughing so hard I could barely keep it together to do the children's message. That was so fun. But yeah, I hate to say when it's all done, but I will say there's a quiet after the storm on Easter Sunday where I can say, "Well done, church worship team. well done Holy Week, and I feel good about things. It's good seeing people that I haven't seen in a while in church, and going from there. So that's my favorite Sunday Easter. I do like the vigil. Some liturgical churches do a vigil. The Catholic Church does the Saturday evening vigil when the sun goes down. Start with the bonfire, and you move to brighter and brighter lights and Holy Communion. That's a great tradition. I'm glad we do that. But yeah, Easter Sunday at 12:30 p.m. is very, very good time for me as a leader. All right, folks. Well, yeah. Well, we know Jesus is back. He is raised from the dead, and the first fruits to do that. But we know that there are lots and lots of geeky stories in media where the dramatic return is a big part of the story. In fact, I'd alluded to it earlier in this episode. There's big headlines this week that direwolves are back. If you're Game of Thrones fans, even though listen to some scientists, they didn't instinct anything. They just gene engineered a wolf to make it look bigger, to make it look like a dire wolf. So it's not really a dire wolf, but the media launches on to like, oh, mythical creatures back from the dead, resurrect. Anything CNN said, scientists say they have resurrected the dire wolf. That's not necessarily what colossal bioengineers did with the thing. But anyway, I'm a science geek, so that's a part of it. But they knew that marketing campaign that they're going to latch on with some Game of Thrones fans and fantasy fans, and I'm there for it. So
it's great that George R.R. Martin could take a break from feverishly writing The Winds of Winter to hold that direwolf pup.
Yeah, and they were smart. This colossal organization was smart because they want to resurrect the woolly mammoth, and so they need some funding. So why not start with some wolves, something geeky, latch on the fantasy fans, Game of Thrones fans, and we'll get enough money. If we can raise enough money, people are stoked that we can get the woolly mammoth back. Even though they're probably going to make sorry to be a skeptic here, just a hairy elephant and then call it a woolly mammoth. That's what they're going to do. But I digress a little bit. Favorite surprise return in geekdom. There's been plenty of things. Somehow Palpatine has returned. They've killed off Batman and Superman lots of times. And of course, we know they're going to come back. You can't keep them dead forever. There's only a few people in comics that they were like, they're not going to come back. That's Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. And for a while there was Buggy Barnes. We'll talk more about that later. Alex, let's start with you. What you share with us that you were really thinking hard on this and you came to a conclusion. What is your favorite surprise return in geekdom?
Well, I thought about this for a while, and the one thing I could come up with, my favorite surprise return was it either Infinity War or Endgame when everybody came back in the end, because I for sure thought that everybody, like half the world was just gone, like kaput, dusted, snapped. And then I remember watching this for the first time in the theater, and it looked basically like the end of the fight. Captain America was like, he was trying to make his last stand, but he wasn't. He was already like out of it, and you hear the call. Someone says, "On your left," and I was like, I literally grabbed like the random person next to me. I was like, "Wait."
I'm getting goosebumps. You just saying that right now, on your left. Like I remember, right? That's in game. And yeah, it looked like they were gonna all lose. And then you hear, and I just watched Winter Soldier, the movie last night, just to kind of freshen up a little bit. And the opening scene is on your left. So you bring up on your left. I saw it last night. That is on point. Right. Yeah. So were you in a full theater? What did the theater do when all those portals started opening up and everybody was returning?
Bro, everybody was gasping. Like I was like, no way. And then when Black Panther and his people came out, I was like, wait. Like, what's his name was flying through? Everybody lost their minds when Spider-Man hopped in. Like when Spider-Man jumped in, everyone's like, oh my God. And I was like, what? Like just to be in the theater, to see all that for the first time, it was like It was an experience. Like, I love going to the movie theater just for moments like that because we were all
Yeah.
like, "Oh my," like, geeking out together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was
That,
probably like I was like, "What is happening? What's going
that,
on?"
that communal experience. And I do remember at the end of Infinity War, when people got snapped and Dustin, they ended there. I thought I had told my wife that that's kind of what was going to happen. It's a two-parter and they go back to back year to year. But she's like, they're ending it here. What just happened? And they were so grieved. And I had read the comics. I kind of knew what was going to happen. I'm like, in comics, in movies, dead doesn't mean dead, but still, people walked out of that in silence, like they had just experienced a funeral, and they weren't wrong, and knowing what was going to come. But I didn't know. I knew they're going to come back. I just didn't know how they were going to do it. And so, yeah, you start off on a high bar there. That is a fantastic pull in geekdom, if not one of the best of all time. So, nice one there. James, thoughts on Endgame? Were you in a theater? Were you?
I was in a theater. The weekend it opened. I think I actually saw it. Like, I can't remember what was going on, but it was my internship year. I know that, and I was in West Virginia, and I went up to Hagerstown, Maryland, to see it because it was the closest movie theater to us. And it was a Sunday evening, and I thought, how poetic on season. It was during the season of Easter, I think, when it came out. So I was like thinking all these thoughts. To even back then. And the movie theater clapped and cheered. I cried twice. Once at a moment in that fight, and then once at the end, the way that movie ended. And I just, man, what a powerful cinematic setup and experience. And I there's not a whole lot that I love about like post Marvel since then. Like that's the peak, and like they've had a weird. It's hard to beat that. They've had a like weird coming down experience from that. But what I do love is that the whole like experience of the snap and of all like half the universe fading to dust is like still felt throughout. Right, they're like still grappling with that experience in all of these projects that have happened after that. And I'm glad that they didn't cheapen it because it makes it feel real.
Yeah,
it makes it feel real. I mean, like at some point you could look back. I feel like if we get some more space and like Marvel kind of has a return to glory, maybe these next Avenger movies, you could like look at this whole phase and say, of course, these movies and projects weren't as good as before. They're grappling with this really complex like question, like how do you deal with the tragedy, the trauma of that happening.
Yeah, they were dealt a few little curveballs when it comes to like COVID and writer strikes and what's next, and they just stuck the landing with Endgame. And I think they're going to try to do that with Avengers Doomsday, because they're bringing back another surprise return. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be Dr. Doom. How they do that, and they gave that whole list of characters that's going to be in, even like the Fox. X-Men that are part of things are going to be a part of that story. So we'll see. Sometimes the hype will outrun the actual storytelling, but I'm optimistic.
Do you think they're going to bring Steve Rogers back as Captain Hydra?
Oh, man.
I know, right?
I'll be there for it. I mean, that's part of the alternate universe. That's part of comics. He's done that post things. He's definitely been cosmic cubed into thinking he's somebody's he's not, and alternate timelines and ultimate multiverses. Who knows? Steve Rogers could have been co-opted by the enemy and those kinds of things. Nothing's not out of the realm of possibility. But in this day and age, with our fandom and message boards and politics, it might be kind of hard.
I didn't think about that.
It would be hard to lean into that. Stepping on something. Talk about Steve jumping on a landmine to protect somebody. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But if they can do multiverse, I'm a sucker for all those alternate timelines and what they can do. And again, we're talking about comebacks in fandom. A good way to fix it is just like, oh, it was just an alternate character for an alternate universe. Oh, it was just this. Oh, they were stuck in a time loop, and there's ways to fix those things. And I've seen all the tropes, but yeah. So Alex, you're within those movies in terms of MCU. Do you have a character you resonate with? Is there a hero that's like your favorite? Talk about favorite jelly beans. Now we're talking about favorite MCU characters.
That's a good one. Wait, hold on. I have to think. I I don't know if I don't know if I resonate with this one, but it's kind of tied between Scarlet Witch and oh wait, I see her. I forgot her. Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's tied between those two just because like they're such like their characters just go through a lot and they're just like the stories are complex and they just make me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they both have it rough. So I don't know. Like
Yeah.
that those two just came to mind. Like they're not my favorite. Like especially Jean Grey, like her story I think like sucks the most because she mainly gets painted out to be the bad guy,
Yeah.
but it's like it's not completely her fault. Like she just I don't know, but I
Both
don't
of
know.
those
Like
characters are like, can you escape your fate or not?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And she's kind of paved the way in the comics back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, they killed her off with the Dark Phoenix saga, and then they brought her back again. They killed her, and she's intimately connected with the Phoenix Force. So what do Phoenix do? They rise again, and so she'll be back at some point. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if and how they bring Scarlet Witch back. They took her off the shelf, they killed her off, or put her. She went mad, she went dark, she went all those things, but she is a pivotal character in the MC universe. So that'd be a great return too, if she could come back and surprise us and save the day and somehow and have her character arc go a different direction.
Yeah, I feel like I saw something recently. Like there's some piece of obscure like Marvel MCU content. Like might have been a comic, might have been something. But like how you get like those pop news articles on your phone. I feel like I saw something recently, like within the last 2 or 3 weeks, that she got confirmed to be still alive somewhere, and it was like an offhand comment a character made in a very obscure piece of but I can't remember.
Yeah, she made a little bit of a return in TVA Time Variant Authority in the comics, and they were like, "Oh, this is the one from the MCU that's in the comics." But then
that's what it was. Yeah,
but then they kind of the editors in chief said, "No, that's not her," and then the artist had to go back and say, "But you never, again, Time Variant Authority alternate." You could have a version come back at some point. James, okay. Favorite return in geekdom? You're wearing our people can see that you're wearing a One Piece shirt, and your avatar is One Piece. And so I have a kind of an idea where you may go. Teach us.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Luffy on Wano coming back. My strong second before I get there was the Naruto versus Pain fight, and Naruto showing back up to the Hidden Leaf Village to fight Pain. I watched that scene last night too, and then I was thinking about it a little bit more, and I felt like Easter, I've got to really talk about Luffy coming back. So if you don't know, One Piece is massively stupid long. We all know that.
Alex, have you done any One Piece? Are you a One Piece fan? Are you a watcher reader of One Piece?
I want to be. I've seen a couple episodes. It's kind of weird because I remember watching a couple episodes when I was like 4 or 5, but I fell off of it, and so since then, like 1,000 episodes came out. So I got to start over. I did see the live action on Netflix, and people said that it's kind of close to the comic, the manga, and all that. So I did see that, but I want to go back to the anime and watch it. But
it seems like One Piece fans do like the live action. So I'm trying to learn at the feet of these One Piece geeks out there. I'm not totally into it, but I had the first volume I got for Christmas and been reading that and having fun and some of the Netflix stuff. But I learned from James and Christian and Joshua.
Yeah, I think you would like the manga more than the live action. The live action was fun, and it was mostly faithful. They did make some changes, but I just think it's a best in the manga / anime medium. But so this is spoilers, everyone. Spoiler alert, spoilers are about to happen. Turn your microphone.
Spoiler alert, Jesus comes back from the dead on Easter Sunday.
Right. I mean, so I mean it's pretty much everywhere now. You can't like look up Luffy without seeing what happens in this fight. But so Luffy has been fighting this guy named Kaido, who has a devil fruit, which is kind of one of the power systems in the world that transforms him into this like legendary mythical dragon. And so they've been fighting for a long time. They're about to sort of land the final blow, and then Luffy is sort of ambushed by another character who just like sprints in out of nowhere and holds Luffy back. Luffy gets hit by Kaido. That's the end of the fight. Luffy is dead on the floor. Kaido is proclaiming his victory and how he's about to like nuclear bomb everyone. And so you've got this fight, and it's been a long fight, as anime and manga fights are. And then you've got this character who is also kind of in the background, but who is 800 years old, at least 800 years old. And Luffy's heart starts to beat again. Only after he has died, and this character sort of proclaims, "Oh, I hear the drums of liberation. This mythical character has returned." And it turns out that this mythical character, who people have been wondering where they've been for 800 years, what's going on, is actually Luffy has inherited that power. And so Luffy's power of the Gum Gum fruit gets a new name. By the world government, the sort of evil bad guys. You sort of see a flashback scene of them talking about Luffy and how this fruit, everyone thinks it's one thing, but it's actually this other thing, and how this could be like the biggest threat to them that they've ever had in the last 800 years. They've been trying to get this power into their hands. It slipped out of their hands the whole time. So Luffy comes back to life, is resurrected only after dying. They're fighting on a place called the Skull Dome. So it's
like Golgotha? Like
exactly,
Golgotha? Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly like Golgotha. So huge skull-shaped dome is where they've been having this fight. And Luffy gets tricked by the guy who ambushes Luffy. As a government official comes in last moment, disrupts the fight. So the government kills him.
Oh,
you're following. You're now
following. By the state. I'm following. I get it.
You're now following, Will. And so Luffy comes back. It's revealed that he's this mythical figure called Joy Boy, and his fruit is not the Gum Gum fruit, but it's called
purple jelly beans.
The name is really long, but essentially he has the powers of the sun god Nika. And that name, if you're familiar with Greek language, Nika, Nike, victory. There's also a name for Jesus engraved on our altar and many Christian altars, which is also Nika, which is the Greek word for victory. So Luffy is definitely this Christ-like figure. Yes. His rubber powers allow him to fight freely. You got to think about Jesus, like always dodging, always
bouncing
bending
off
things,
bouncing
always.
Off.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my favorite comeback. There is, 1,000 episodes that build to this. A lot of these reveals that happen in the context of this fight. I love that it happens on a skull. I love that essentially he has to die to come back to life. The way they do it is really impactful because characters actually think he's dead. Like they give a good episode and a half of people processing this happening, and
is he? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Is it?
Spoilers over.
Maybe. Is he resuscitated or resurrected? Because we do talk about that in terms of the scriptures. Lazarus was raised or brought back from the dead and resuscitated, only to die again. There's no legend that he stayed. It would be cool, stayed alive forever. But Jesus was resurrected, not to die again. Is Luffy resuscitated with the danger of one day dying again, or is he now a sun god, S-U-N, not S-O-N, sun god?
I will say he's probably resuscitated with the chance of dying again because there has been confirmed 2 other people that have had this power before that have died. But the way it's set up is that the power itself gets passed from generation to generation through worthy successors. So the power itself has a will of its own. So resuscitated and kind of resurrected too.
Yeah.
Reincarnated.
Yeah, and we get to some of that on Easter Sunday too, in terms of it's not just Jesus is back from the dead to die again. There's others who've been resuscitated. A miracle that happens in the book of Acts are the apostles and the disciples doing the same kind of miracles that Jesus had done and resuscitating people, bringing people back from the dead, kind of similar to what Jesus did when he was healing people. But Jesus is a different entity when it comes to third person of the Trinity or second person of the Trinity, and someone who is resurrected, and where death doesn't have the final word, where there's no end game. There's no end game with Jesus, Alex. There's not going to end. He's there with a new story, and so that's super cool. Well, I do plan to keep reading One Piece, and I will forget what happens to Luffy as I'm reading, and at some point I'm going to be like, oh, we talked about this years ago on a Systematic Geekology podcast. Same way with you, Alex. You can hop right in. I'm sure there's lots of volumes and episodes that you will get caught up in the story. And
it's all fun and it's all worth it, even apart from this moment. So
love it. Cool. Well, I'll lift. It's hard to beat those two. Those are good stories. I feel like mine's kind of like, not it's not a competition, but it's hard to beat those. But my favorite surprise return is Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier in Marvel Comics. A lot of people die and come back all the time. The good thing about the comic book medium is that there's that final page reveal. You're like, oh my gosh, that villain's back, that hero's back. Oh my gosh, I thought they were dead. I thought they were sucked out in an airlock. I thought they were caught up in a black hole, but here they are. They're back. And there were two Marvel characters that were kind of untouchable that you were like an unwritten rule that you just don't bring them back. They stay dead forever. And that was Uncle Ben from Spider-Man and Bucky Barnes from Captain America. But, Captain America was debuted in the comics in 1941. He had a good run up to 1950. And then they took him off the shelf and didn't need him anymore. The war was over. Didn't need him as a hero or propaganda. And so Captain America went dormant for a good long time. And then 1964, Avengers #4, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee brought Steve Rogers out of suspended animation, out of an ice block, and brought him back to join with the Avengers and as captain of the Avengers. It was kind of established there in the 60s that, his sidekick, Bucky Barnes, was killed in an explosion. And, there you have it. That's why he didn't survive, but Steve did. So they had a good run for a good long time. Decades went by where Cap, grieved the loss of his friend. And, but then in 2005, in volume 5, a new reboot of Captain America, Steve Epting and Ed Brubaker wrote one of the most, what some people would say, the greatest Captain America story in comics, and it's called The Winter Soldier. So you build up these issues. There's an assassin from Russia in the Cold War who are, kind of post-Cold War assassin who's taking people out, called the Winter Soldier, and we just don't know who it is. Well, later it's revealed in issue 5 and then 6 that it's Bucky Barnes. And so he's just been brainwashed by the Soviet Union and kind of snagged up. He didn't die in that explosion. He lost a limb, he lost an arm, and then they put him in suspended animation, then brainwashed him to be like the spy, forgetting who he was. And then, but Captain America got through to him, cosmic cubed him to bring his memories back. He was able to get that cybernetic arm back and became a hero again. So that for me was, while reading that comic and that comic book run, was just kind of peak comics and a surprise that you bring Bucky Barnes back. But then it was so good that Marvel made a whole movie out of it in their MCU lineup. And I would say one of my favorite MCU movies of all of them is right up there. Captain America, Scarlet Witch. I mean, not Scarlet Witch. Scarlett Johansson. What am I doing? Black Widow. Black Widow kind of team up and solve the mystery of Bucky and the Winter Soldier and bring him into the fold. So were you two familiar of that comic book run, or is it just the movie that kind of brought him in for you guys?
It was the movie.
Yeah. It was the movie for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say that's probably my... Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I remember like watching that movie in the theater and like leaving, like walking out of it sad. I don't think I liked that movie as much.
Yeah.
It made me sad at the end for some reason. I don't know, but it was good. Like it was still good. It's just it wasn't my favorite. It's not up there, but
I gotcha. It does have darker tones to it and mood and then I watched the beginning of it last night just to kind of refresh my memory of how that opens. And again, you bring it up on your left is a good callback because man, that's exactly what stood out to me. But to finish how it ends, I do need to rewatch it. There is somebody, a friend of ours, James and I, friend Jennifer Shimoda, went through all the MCU after encouragement of watching all the movies, and I think she was taken back by kind of the gun violence of that movie. and it was, I guess, that of course that is an important issue in our day and age. And so all the other ones felt like superhero movies and had a happy ending. That one was a little bit more shoot 'em up and violent. She wasn't as on board with that one, and I totally get that. James, what are you going to say about something about that movie?
I was going to say I think it's one of my favorite ones. I really like the sort of thriller, spy, espionage kind of vibes behind that movie. But I think more importantly for me, I think that came out 2014, right around in there.
Yeah.
And I loved that movie because of what it did to Captain America. The questions it made Captain America ask, the questions it made us ask, that, and then the Civil War movie that followed it. The questions of what does it mean to be good? What does it mean to represent what American values are? What does it mean to grapple with narratives that you may have been taught and lived into or according to that were really good feeling and sounding, but not true? And those narratives were used to cover up some pretty nefarious things. I mean, the shocking part of that, one of the most shocking parts of that movie is that Hydra is just all up in everywhere and has been manipulating things for a long time. And I think for me, I was coming out of college. I graduated that year in 2014 from college, and I had majored in religion and history, and I was beginning to ask all of these same sort of questions about where my allegiance lies in terms of who is the ultimate out there. Is it this patriotic myth that I've been given, or is it the story of Jesus? And what happens when those two things conflict, and what does it mean to live out of joint, I think, with the dominant national myths that are told, the civil religion that we have in our country.
Boy, and that resonates now as well,
right?
a decade later, right? There's a disillusionment that happens there with Cap, and he's from a different era, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and then where he is in the 2000s, and where America has come around. And I think we could say that the same. And I think within, and even if we want to get a little sermonesque with the Easter stories, there's disillusionment with Jesus, riding in on Palm Sunday thinking he's the Messiah, he's the King. Their view and understanding of what Messiah means, of power, is literally killed before their eyes. But Jesus shows them a different way, and out of that disillusionment and deconstruction, Jesus constructs what it means to be Messiah, what it means to be living, what it means to love, what it means to serve, all those things. And that hopefully that's what Holy Week and Easter does for us, is that it kind of deconstructs our stereotypes and notions of what we think Messiah or Christ looks like. And Jesus shows a different way when it comes to that. And it's what we do here at Systematic Geekology. We let our fandom and our favorite geeky things and our favorite stories illumine or point to the greater truths, with a capital T, when it comes to what Christ is doing in the world, which is why we do these episodes like this. Interesting, y'all. I had our oldest member in our church passed away this week. She was 106. 106. Opal.
What a sweet lady. I remember her. Yeah.
Opal was born in 1918. So she predates Captain America. 22 years. She was 22 years old when Captain America came on the scene on that comic book, Punching Hitler. So R.I.P. Opal. One day we will see each other again when we are all resurrected and the Easter story rings true. So super fun. Y'all, this is fun. Happy Easter. Any final Easter thoughts that you want to give to our listeners today? If not, I'm springing this on you. That's okay. But anything you want to say? You get off this episode and you're like, man, I wish I'd said that. Well, now it's your chance. You still may say it like an hour from now, but any closing remarks on Easter?
Oh man, wow! I don't want to proselytize people.
I know. There you go. Go get some jelly beans.
Resurrection life is good. God wants you to be free.
There you go.
All that stuff. Free to be you, which means free to be. To live into your fandoms and your geekness and all of that stuff.
Yep. I like it. Cool. Well, friends, if you think it's an end game, it's not. There's lots of friends who come through portals to be on your left and your right, to be with you and walk through this day, regardless of what you achieve or not, regardless whether your Easter traditions went perfect or not. The stone is still rolled away. Christ has risen. You are loved. If you guys need anything, reach out to us. We're here for you, and we're glad to geek out with you. Happy Easter, friends.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.